Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel for another draft target video. Today we are taking a look at the Sharks organization to see what they need to get the final touches on that rebuild. They have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks to keep building their strong pipeline and maybe someday become a strong contending team. So anyways, let's get into it. So first thing first, at the NHL level, the San Jose Sharks are in a very similar position to Chicago's. So my assessment in that video is basically the same, which means they're just terrible at everything and they have no strength whatsoever in that lineup. They can't score, they can't defend, they can't kill penalties, they can't score with one man up, they can't keep possession of the puck in the O zone. There's just nothing that they can do well, but it's by design for obvious reason. Even if Batman would tell you that there's no team in the NHL who are tanking. But there are still some players that will be part of that future that are worth mentioning in that lineup. Players like Macklin Celebrini should be a consistent top 10 center in the NHL for years to come. Players like Eklund can bring secondary offense in the top 6 while playing both special units. And players like Will Smith can either be their future second line center or you can unleash him on the wing so he can become that first line winger. On defense, they have Shakir Mukhamadan who projects as a third pair D, maybe a number 4D, who can move up if needed, but that's about it. There's also players like Henry Thun and Jack Thompson, but none of those really project high in the lineup. The pipeline is a different story though. Plenty of forwards like Cardwell, Camlin, Haltonen, Bysted, Graf, who all seems to have a future in a top 9 role, and other players like Musty and Chernyshov who both have size, power, and the necessary skills to project as future top 6 players. I don't know how many of you watched Chernyshov this season, but boy, he looked phenomenal out there. Maybe not in the playoff though, but the whole Saginaw team went dormant in the playoff for some reasons. But nonetheless, that's 2 solid pieces to add to Celebrini, Eklund, and Smith in the future top 6. On defense though, it's rough, to say the least. The big piece is obviously Sam Dickinson, who developed about as well as anyone could have wished for. Added a solid playmaking game to his arsenal. He's much better on retrievals under pressure. He has a crazy transition game. If he's not the best D out of the 2024 draft, he won't be that far behind. But after him, their future falls on Cagnoni, Leo Salin-Wallenius, Nate Miskey, Colton Roberts, Polkamp. Not many of them project as future number 2 or number 3 in the NHL, and that is where the biggest hole in their entire structure of their rebuild is. They still need pieces here and there, but there's a giant gap between their projected number 1 D and the rest of that D core. There is no projected number 2 or no projected number 3 in that pipeline, but they still have a lot of options to fill the rest of the D core. So with that in mind, I think it's pretty clear what they need to do. The number 1 priority should be to fill those holes on defense, and since San Jose just finished dead last in the NHL, almost 10 points under Chicago, they have 25% chance to pick first overall and could fall all the way down to third overall, so we'll look at it from the 3 position. If they win the lottery and pick number 1, I think it's pretty clear that they jump on the occasion to pick Matthew Schaefer and add a defenseman in the mode of Miro Heiskanen and build that defense with 2 big, smooth skating defensemen with a game on both sides of the puck. That was easy. End of the video. Peace. No, but basically, that's the only possible route for me. If they pick first, I don't see them passing on him anyway whatsoever. If they drop second overall, well, that's not exactly ideal for them, but there's absolutely no defenseman who should go as high as that. They could either try to trade down a little bit with teams like Chicago or Philly, who clearly would love to grab Michael Misa second overall, and they both have either picks or prospect to spare. The Sharks could extort one of these 2 teams and get some great value back and draft just a couple of picks later and grab Jackson Smith. Probably the optimal scenario if they drop, but if they want to actually pick, they grab Michael Misa. First, because there's a clear offensive demarcation between him and everyone else, and second, because they could put Misa on their second line center position of the future, and like I said before, unleash Smith from his defensive responsibilities as centerman and let him do his magic on the first line with Celebrini. That sounds like an elite top 6 if you ask me. Now, if they drop all the way to number 3, again, I tried to move back a little bit and grab Jackson Smith and add some value from moving back, but if that route isn't working, I can't say that I wouldn't be comfortable taking him at number 3. Especially in this draft where talent drops pretty significantly after Misa and Schaefer. It's probably not ideal, and I don't necessarily see it happening, but I wouldn't be shocked if that was the route they go for. If they think that's too rich for them, then players like Desnoyers, Frondel, O'Brien, and Martin would be in my internal debate. If they're confident in Smith at the center position, you go Martone and add another winger with size, crazy skills, and power in his game. If they're not confident with Smith rounding out his game, then I'd fix that with Desnoyers. He has a strong two-way game, excellent playmaker, heavy on the puck, can play offense any way you want it. He plays in an NHL style hockey already. He's mature beyond his age, putting numbers as good as Nico Hischier or Claude Giroux in the queue, and is having some crazy playoffs, leading every single player in the playoffs by 6 points at the time of recording this. And if you want a gamer who's gonna win you games when it matters, Desnoyers is your guy, no questions asked. There's no other way around it. But if you want a shooter, Frondel is a fine option who is loved by most scouts that aren't me, or O'Brien, who's the complete opposite, which I love way more than most scouts. But who's off track, I'm not sure, but I love my choices. Next, at 28, where Dallas pick should be around, there's really not a ton of great options unless you want a small player or a role player. If San Jose got the first pick and went with Schaefer, they could double down on defense and grab a guy like Blake Fiedler or Henry Brustevics, two right-shot D who could project as second pair D on the right side. I personally prefer Brustevics. I think he's a more complete D with better offensive and retrieval tools, but Fiedler is big, physical, strong, and rangy, which is also a very appealing profile. But if they want to go with a forward, I'd start adding role players with a physical edge for the middle to the bottom six instead of swinging for higher upside 5'6" players like Cameron Schmidt. I'd certainly understand if they didn't want to pass on such a dynamic player at 28, but a player like Shane Van Zaghe would be my prime target here. Doesn't project as a top 6 player whatsoever, but a smart, violent, and technically physically dominant player to play on a future third line, to cycle and retrieve pucks, extend plays, create chaos around the crease, and win battles for pucks. It's not sexy, but these players can get the puck in the O zone, rush defenders' decision, start a cycle, keep possession, create secondary offense, or transfer the possession to a more dynamic line. Very valuable, especially in the playoff, and also players like Jack Murtagh could fit in here too. And finally, in the second round, if they went with a D to bolster that defense, I'd do a lot to grab one or two of Vaclav Nestrasil, William Horkoff, and obviously Van Zaghe if he's still available in the second round. Add a Daniel Prokhorov maybe in the third round, and boy, would that be a successful draft on the first look. The best scenario possible would be Schaefer with the first, Brustevics at 28, and two of Van Zaghe, Nestrasil, and William Horkoff in the second round, and Prokhorov in the third round. San Jose would be looking really, really good after that. Players like Nestrasil and Horkoff are multiple years away, so patience is needed, but I think it's really, really worth it. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please take the time to like the video and subscribe to the channel to help me grow this thing, but any kind of support is just greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.